Everybody Loves Cookies by Neon Sanketsu, Chapter 19, Papa Knows Best. The thing we do for family, a father, Papa knows best. Why are you here? It was a simple question. Blake felt she should have known better than to hope for a simple answer. Really? Naruto quirked a blonde brow as he pried a fresh batch of cookies out the oven. You stormed down here in the dead of night and asked me that. She didn't take her eyes off him, not once, even when he said cookies down before her. You do realize I own this place, Blake? Damn it. Her brow dropped atop her head. But your message to White Fang, Adam? The bomb? Adam ain't here yet, he continued amicably, setting out a plate for her. And there is no bomb. That was just an excuse to get you out here alone. Although his gaze stayed to the frosted window. In hindsight, I suppose it was too much to hope your team wouldn't eavesdrop. Too bad. Guess they're not getting any cookies. Someone squeaked from outside as his gaze swiveled back to her. Take a seat and make yourself comfortable. We might be here a while. Blake didn't want to. Really, she didn't. The look on his face promised punishment if she didn't comply. Fine, she scowled at him, but did as he bade. How did you know about... No. She held up a hand when he opened his mouth. I don't want to know. Probably best that you do. A glass of milk joined the piping hot cookies. Honestly, what he sees in you, I'll never know. You're flighty, fly off the handle at the slightest thing, and in all honesty, you're a bit of a hypocrite sometimes. Still, the heart wants what the heart wants. Who am I to tell my boy who he can and can't love? Everything clicked. She almost wished it hadn't. You had something to do with this? Ding ding. The older blonde mimed a bell noise as he pushed the plate of cookies her way. Give the girl a prize. Just to be clear, she swallowed once and then tucked into one. You're not my father, right? Oh ho! A blonde brow rose. And you're asking me this particular question, why? She mirrored the motion with one of her own and he laughed anew. Ouch! And such a skittish kitten. And just because I have a few kids your age, you jump to conclusions? Really? I thought your mother raised you better than that? And Blake absolutely choked. Are you? She couldn't be related to Yang. No, just no. She'd never live it down. Don't worry. He fobbled her off with a laugh. I'm having you on. I'm not your pops. Just the guy who called yours. I'm not even here yet. Not really. Oh, wait, you did what now? You're talking to a shadow clone. Her host smiled. Really, I'm just here to stall you until Gira arrives. This involves him as well. Someone knocked on the door. Once, twice, thrice. Aha! That would be your old man now. Blake's face closed down. No, nothing like a little father-son bonding, huh? In all fairness, Adam ducked a sword parrying an axe that would have taken his head and lopped the offending arm off. This is not quite what I envisioned when you mentioned making amends. His boot crashed out to kick another furnace away. An awful crack preceded the blow. Still, I won't deny that this feels cathartic. Roman ducked, pivoted, unloaded melodic cudgel in the unlucky face of a furnace, and brained another on the backside. Not you two. Both of you can bite me. He wagged a finger at the redhead's way. Now, whatever would your mother say? Piss off. Neil, she flitted from one victim to the other, a silent wraith dispensing death by the dozen. No words from her, nor help needed. She was death incarnate, made him right proud it did, seeing what his granddaughter could do, what all of them could do, almost brought a tear to his eye. On your left, he swept a fist over his shoulder, casually breaking the nose of a foolish fondness who sought to take him from behind. Without bothering to look back, he grabbed the man by the face and wielded his body as an impromptu flail to break another. Such a shame. These weren't shinobi, nor were they warriors. They broke all too easily. Where was the fight in them? Where was the challenge? Where was the grit? It was all so disappointing. There was a reason he didn't bother to exert himself anymore. There was no fun in it. His blood was up again now, and these meager brute grunts just couldn't satisfy him. Maybe he'd kick up a spar with Raven or Vanessa when he got back. Sapphire too. Perhaps all three at once. That sounds good. It hadn't been hard to track down Adam's former associates. With Roman and Adam's defection followed by Cinder's subsequent death, most had gone to ground and hidden, but their need for dust yet remained. A cell or two was bound to pop their head out sooner or later. It was inevitable. These weren't the sort to give up. Their pride wouldn't let them. Now that they'd emerged, the White Fang didn't stand a chance. Neil tittered soundlessly as she broke a man's neck. 4! Roman snarled as he knocked a trio of men aside. There's only 4 of them, and someone on the dock's brain. Stop them! Stop! Blast you! A particularly large sword rallied, raising his chainsaw high. You're no better than that Belladonna bitch! Die, traitor! For the White Fang! Adam tutted once. Idiots! Wilt cleared her hilt again with a silken rasp as he brought his cherished blade to bear. I trained you better than this. None dared approach him now, bathed in blood as he was. Well, who wants to die next? He stepped in, blade sparking against the asphalt. It is you, Bonesaw, or perhaps you, Perry. When no one took up his challenge, he leered at the lot of them. Come, you said it yourself earlier, did you not? I'm just one man. A hand rose, beckoning. I might even leave one of you alive to take a message back to Sienna and the Albane brothers. The impasse couldn't last forever. Someone was bound to snap, to break, sooner or later, and they did. A plucky soul opened fire, just like that. Adam was among them, a red dervish of death. Roman whistled and lit a cigarette. Jeez, the balls on this one. Naruto crossed one leg over another and watched. That's my boy. Previews. If we're nearing an end, let it be a good one. Be good to my girl, John, or I'll feed your own heart. Adam, no. Adam, yes. I have to do this. What will winning a tournament prove? The strength of my will. I won't give up on us, Blake. Naruto sniffled in the background and blew his nose. That's my boy. Are you really satisfied with this? There are more dangers out there. Name one that could kill him. Watts? Hazel? Please. He'd eat them for breakfast. Push! There's a reason that idiot retired, you know. Riven didn't pause in her stretches. If he ever took it into his mind to fight again, we'd have a bad time. And why is that? Vanessa continued to sharpen her sword. Because he hasn't had a challenge in decades. He's starved for a real fight. Sapphire pursed her lips. I don't understand. I know I was out of it for a while, but surely. Vanessa and Raven exchanged a lingering look. And pray you never find out. And previews. You overestimated yourself. You're just one man. All men die. All right. He stepped forward and spread his arms wide. I'll play. You have 9 seconds. And credit where it was due, they acted quickly. He'd give them full marks for that. A whip cracked out, obliterating his right eye. He allowed it. 1 second. Clenched knuckle slammed into his face, obliterating half his skull. 2 seconds. His head snapped backwards. 5. In the same instant, that face closed around it and smashed him down. Once, twice, thrice. He was still reeling when his would-be killer leaped away, when the rest unloaded on him, filling his body with holes. 6 explosive rounds. They'd done their homework. 7. He slumped where he lay. 8. Blood slid down the concrete. A sword slammed into his back and severed his spine. 9. Crimson pooled beneath him as his ruined body slumped to the street. Silence pervaded the night, followed by low laughter. Excellent! His head rose, the wounds in his body already regenerating. I haven't had this much fun in ages. With an awful pop, his broken bones realigned themselves. His eyes sought their leader. What did you say your name was? End of chapter 19. Everybody Loves Cookies by Neon Sangetsu, chapter 20. Time to fly. If we're nearing an end, let it be a good one. What's that? Of course I trust my kids. In a sense, they're still baby birds learning to fly. Falls to me to teach them, you know? Time to fly. Naruto's doing what with the kids? Training. Raven dug a finger into her ear. Why do you think we're out here in the first place? Sapphire nearly throttled the woman where she stood. Are you mad? The Emerald Forest is full of Grimm. They'll die. Nah, the Spring Maiden grinned. And not so loud. You want to blow our cover? She jerked a thumb over her shoulder to the tree line below the cliffs. We're supposed to be keeping a low profile here. He'll hear us if you squawk like that. This from the pregnant woman. All you do is squawk these days. Maybe so, the maiden allowed, but at least I understand why he's doing this. Much to the killer's chagrin, she turned her back on her, fixating solely upon the forest below. He'll make them strong for the battles that are to come. Nothing else matters. Sapphire bit her lip, wincing a little now as another tree hurtled through the air. Not a moment later, a body joined it. She caught a flash of red hair, a startled yelp, before they fell back beneath the canopy. A dull crash resounded through the emerald below, echoing all the way up to the cliffs where they waited. Old man! A furious shout ripped through the canopy below. Hold still! Let me hit you! See? Vanessa hummed. If she can shout after a fall like that, she's just fine. Sapphire flipped a baleful look her way. And Pyrrha? A string of profanities had never more fleeing from the trees. Angry, but alive. See? Vanessa sat down beside her, one leg dangling over the abyss while she watched the daughter fight. They're fine. We won't let anything happen to them. On a certain level, Sapphire knew she ought to feel proud. It wasn't every day he took it upon himself to train Nora's team, but on the other, well, she was a mother. Watching teenagers be tossed about like that, knowing one of them was her own, she might be cold, but she wasn't that cold. At least her Roman wasn't foolish enough to get involved in that mess. He and Neo already knew how to fight properly, so did that Adam boy. Maybe they were right. Honor got you killed. These kids needed to learn that. Are you really satisfied with this? She fought down a flinch as something or someone hurtled through the emerald forest below. There are more dangers out there. Vanessa didn't look up from her blade, stoically sharpening it over one knee. Name one that could kill him. Watts? Hazel? Please, he'd eat them for breakfast. She has a point. Raven leaned over, idly popping her back. Tyrion's ruined. Cinder's dead. We butchered that Mercury brat. Emerald's living a second life as a kid again. Really, the only danger is Salem herself. But she's hardly going to leave her tower now, is she? She could. She could. Raven bent over, languorously stretching with a vicious grin. But we've prepared for that eventuality. There's a reason that dolt retired, you know. Raven didn't pause in her stretches. If he ever took it into his head to seriously fight again, she'd have a bad time. And why is that? Immortality, eternal punching bag. Vanessa continued to sharpen her sword. He hasn't had a challenge in decades. He's starving for a real fight. Sapphire pursed her lips. I don't understand. I know I was out of it for a while, but surely. Vanessa and Raven exchanged a long, lingering look. And pray you never find out. Nora crashed into a tree. Said tree crashed into another tree before that tree was ripped out from under her and used to bludgeon her into another. In short, many trees, much pain. Horror plummeted into each collision. She didn't need her scroll to know she'd gone from green to yellow, not when she could feel her muscles aching. Absentee father or not, that hit hard, harder than anybody had any right to. And she'd lost sight of him again. Shouldn't have done that. Last time he'd attacked from underground and made her pay for it by burying her for the better part of a day. Where had he gone this time? Eyes on the ball, sweetheart. Look out below. A shadow fell over her. Nora looked up. Gulp now. And crap baskets. And Naruto struck like a falling star. Well, a laughing star. Old man definitely cackled his head off when he fell out of the sky. Nora barely had time to bring Mankild up for all the good it did her. He crashed through her guard like it wasn't even there, caught her by the face and planted her in the ground like a turnip, and picked her like one too. She felt him snatch her up by the leg and whip her into Rennie. Poor Rennie. He tried his best, he really did. But best or not, he just didn't have the chakra like she did. And down they went. Better, he thumbed his chin, leering down at them. But you can do better than better, can't you, kids? Ren groaned. Nora, she winced a little. Yeah, your dad's kind of an asshole. I heard that, rookie. You want to win the Vale Festival or not? Nora did. More than anything, they asked for this training, all of them. And his feet were well within reach. Nora latched onto his left ankle for dear life, even as Ren grabbed the right. Got you. So you do. A blonde brow quirked down to see them mild amusement. But what you failed to realize, John Imperial leaped at his exposed flank. They didn't see his smile. Is that applies both ways? He jumped, planting his hands on the ground, and swung his legs up with them still attached. Nora saw stars. Her teammates saw much more than that. He smashed her into them like a bludgeon. She lost her grip in the chaos. The moment she did, she heard Ren and John cry out, leave it to the old man to target the weakest links first, aka not her and Pyrrha. Damn it, she couldn't see straight. Without warning, her vision cleared. A massive beowulf leaped at her from the undergrowth, massive jaw gaped wide. Come on, Nora rolled her eyes. Can you not? Kinda in the middle of something right now. Dad caught it by the tail and hauled it backwards like a naughty puppy. The beast rounded on him in turn with a snarl. Said snarl became a whimper as the scarred blonde casually reached up, crushed its windpipe, flung it over his shoulder. On a whim, he uprooted a nearby tree and brought it down on the creature, crushing it to a black pulp. Once, twice, thrice. On the fourth, he finally paused to consider his handiwork. Remember, kids, stay positive. He threw the towering oak aside as one might a twig. This is the Emerald Forest, after all. If you start feeling down, we'll have the grim on us. Nora dragged herself upright. There wasn't going to be a forest left if he kept throwing around trees like that. Still, she couldn't help but smile. Her legs ached, her arms were heavy, her aura in the red, but she'd never been happier. After years of not having anything in the way of a parental figure, it felt kinda nice having them again, even if he and Mom were batshit crazy. All right then, Naruto clapped his hands, startling her. In the spirit of fairness, I'll give you a 60-second break. John gurgled into the ground. Oh, I know you're not done. Bemused blue eyes slid his way. You've got aura for days and your semblance. You unlocked it yesterday, didn't you? Another gurgle, this one affirmative. Nora winced in sympathy. Poor John. He'd only unlocked his semblance after having the tar beaten out of him. The rest of them hadn't been quite so fortunate. If the old man was trying to push their semblance to evolve, it was working. She knew Pyrrha wasn't polarity. Magnet release was so unfair, but whatever it was, it had yet to show itself, which meant he'd be pushing them harder still. Then use it to heal your team. And Dad's voice was a whip, spurring John into action. You're the leader, aren't you? Act like it, boy. Time up. Time's up. John dragged himself towards Ren. Naruto stalked towards them with intent. Nora spied Mike only a yard away. She dove on her hammer, snatched it up, and lunged at him. He pivoted to face her, looking so damn proud that she actually missed her first swing. The second smacked home in a scarred palm, followed by her knee crashing against his. Then there was no more time for thought, only battle. This is hell. Is this what you put Yang and Ruby through? Oh, no. Naruto, Dad shook his head as he swayed between her swings. Team Ruby went through something much worse than this. His grin gained an edge. They didn't have a healer. He headbutted her away and then craned his neck into where John and Ren lay, wasted and gasping for air, but steadily recovering under the former semblance. Seems they're done for now, but you aren't, and neither is your sister. He wagged a finger her way. Pyrrha, I can hear you playing dead over there. Young lady, don't make me tell your mother. A trembling finger rose his way. Nora laughed and paid for it dearly. He took the chance to trip her and send her rolling into the mud. Now, don't flip me off. Their father chatted at her one finger salute. Tell you what, land a hit on me and I'll teach you that technique you've been hounding me for. She creaked, a bruised eye open to glare at him, and it was a sure sign of exhaustion that she did so at all. I can barely walk up trees. No, not that. He mimed a motion with his palms, forming a sphere between his hands. This one. Green orbs flashed with a second wind. You will. I'm a man of my word. Just ask your mother. Nora didn't see Pyrrha move. Naruto did. They didn't fight. They danced. She could see where Pyrrha had gotten it from. Even if he'd never trained her before, that natural grace was still there. Back and forth they went, raging a wild waltz of steel and fists. They wailed on another for all of 3 seconds. Then the older Uzumaki reached around, yanked her shield down, and slammed an open palm into her chest. She skidded back and rushed in, only for him to vault off it, snapped a merry salute her way, and skipping back in retreat once more. You have your mother's skill. He bounded up on the balls of his feet, taking on a boxing stance. Now let's see some of the Uzumaki grits. Nora wanted that kind of skill. No, she needed it. She rushed in, bringing a challenge, and Pyrrha moved before her. Naruto's right hand swung over her shoulder, catching her half-sister's blade. She wasn't there. A flicker of surprise flashed across his whiskered visage as he realized he held her weapon, yet no hand held its hilt. She used her magnetic release as a distraction. Time enough to dive, she dove into her guard and bashed her shield at his face. A fist swung down to intercept it. Nora saw her moment and rushed in, whirling herself into a full-body swing that sent Maghild screaming into his ribs, off balance as he was. One hand gripped her blade and another her shield. Naruto had nowhere to go. He took the blow full on. She heard his ribs creak. He didn't fall, but his grip on Pyrrha's shield faltered for a moment. In that instant, she surged up and struck. Polished metal bashed him in the face. His head snapped back. Blood splattered through the air. He grunted in surprise, and Pyrrha hesitated. I'm sorry. Don't be. His head swung down, revealing a bloody nose. Remember that feeling? His hands came down on both their shoulders, giving them an encouraging squeeze. That's what your chakra feels like. Control it, mold it, bend it to your will, and move. He whirled in through her. Pyrrha struck a tree, slid down it, and landed face first in the muck, aura crackling dully. Nora joined her a heartbeat later, landing face first in the mud beside her. Ow! She stumbled up, rubbing her jaw. You hit like a truck. And so will you. Let when I'm done with you. Naruto raised his arms, took up his stance, and beckoned them on. Vital Festival's right around up and at 'em, kids. I expect you to win this thing. Nora and Pyrrha shared a glance. Then they waded in. Some days, Hazel Reinhardt questioned his life choices. Today was such a day. He'd been having an awful lot of those as of late. It had begun when he'd first learned of Raven Bronwyn's presence in Vale. Her arrival hadn't been a bother, rather. It was the man she'd chosen to visit. He'd been the spark. Everything went downhill from there. Perhaps had they acted in that moment, they could have prevented all this. Such was the curse of hindsight. It seemed they could have done many things, should have done. Now Cinder was dead. Her pawns vanished to parts unknown. Tyrion nowhere to be seen. The White Fang routed, and the criminals they counted on turned against them. Stranger still, Salem had been silent. It all boded poorly, but they were committed now, and it was too late to turn back. Even if Ospen wasn't in Vale anymore, where was the justice in it all? Vengeance for his sister demanded such, and he wasn't even certain where the parasite had gone. Their spies suggested Mistral. There were rumors of a tribe on the move and an assault on Haven, but such details were scarce at best. They would have to seek him later, once Beacon lay in ruins. But for now, he so considered the vial in his hand like the viper it was. He was wise to be wary of it. You're certain this will work? Dear Hazel, Watts clapped him on the shoulder with a jovial laugh. When have I ever steered you wrong? Many times. He chose not to say such. This was the only way forward now. And the girl, she's untested. We can't be certain of her loyalty. Leave that to me, my friend. You don't want... You do what you do best. He knew what Watts meant. Breaking things, people. Time would tell if this broke him. Previews. Leonardo Lionheart did not die well. Osmond looked left. Osmond looked right. Now, Osmond sighed. Whatever did I miss? Naruto loomed over John. So you're sweet on my little girl, are you? Pyrrha buried her face in her hands. Daddy, no. Daddy, yes. I just want to talk to him. Watts raised the remote. Wait for it. Any moment now. Ladies and gentlemen, let the Vale Festival begin. For our first round we have... Nora clasped her hands and prayed. Not Adam's team, not Adam's team, not Adam's team. John clapped a hand to his forehead. Nora, what? I don't want to fight him, brother or not. He'll shish kebab me. Sorry, but this is as far as you can go. He stepped out the shadows blocking their path. I want to let the kids enjoy their first tournament in peace, you know? So unless you found someone willing to take Cinder's place, the silence was their answer. He cast a glance back. You did, didn't you? His lips thinned. Who was it then? Sienna? Ilya? Trifa? Some other white fang fool? None of the above? Come on, give an old baker a hint. Tell me their name and I'll spare you. You overestimate yourself. You're just one man. All men die sooner or later. Even someone like you. All right. He stepped forward and spread his arms wide. I'll play. You have 9 seconds. And credit where it was due, they acted quickly. He'd give them full marks for that. A whip cracked out, obliterating his right eye. He allowed it. 1 second. Clenched knuckles slammed into his face, obliterated half his skull. 2 seconds. His head snapped backwards. 5. In the same instant, that fist closed around it and leaped away when the rest unloaded on him, filing his body with holes. 6. Explosive rounds. They done their homework. 7. He slumped where he lay. 8. Blood slid down the concrete. A sword slammed into his back and severed his spine. 9. Crimson pulled beneath him as his ruined body slumped to the street. Silence pervaded the night, followed by a low laughter. Excellent! His head rose, the wounds in his body already regenerating. I haven't had this much fun in ages! With an awful pop, his broken bones really realigned themselves. His eyes sought their leader. What did you say your name was? End of chapter 20.